Welcome back to another board game Cheers, everybody. Today we are doing a weird one. This is Concept, which is one of my favorite games. Um, very simple. You are using almost no time to explain the rules and almost all of your time to enjoy the game. So, this is a game that I never play for points. Somebody draws the card, they get something like this. Hope you can see this decently well. And there will be 9 clues on it. The lower you get, the more difficult it gets. But let's just say you got Rubik's Cube. You would try to get people without talking to guess what you were going for. So you would use this as the main idea. You might put this on a cube. And then you might use these little blocks, which would hopefully be the same color, to be the colors of the Rubik's Cube. So you go with some red, some blue, etc. You can also have other ideas to explain that it's some sort of game. The first person to guess Rubik's Cube gets it. So this video is going to be a little bit different because essentially all I'm doing in this one is just talking about how helpful I think that each of the different clues you can go for are, and this is just in my experience, so take it for what you will. So we're not really going to do S tier and such. We're just going to go through them. So let's do big batches or big groups of them first. So let's go with all of the colors. All of the colors are very helpful. You might not always use a color, but if you can ever use a color, it's always really helpful. If it's some sort of like, if it's a vegetable and it's a green vegetable, or if it's a truck and it's a blue truck, everybody understands colors just naturally. So this is just super good at pointing people in the right direction. Let's go with this section. So I guess we're going in the reverse order, but I feel like this is just the easiest way to do it. So I'd say all of these are very helpful. All of these right here, I would say this is almost never helpful. This is almost never helpful. Yeah, let's just do it this way. So almost never helpful. Seldom helpful. I guess every once in a while I'll use one of these. And then this is like barely helpful. Every once in a while I'll use one of these. I guess if I was an engineer, if the people I played with were engineers, maybe these would be more helpful, but most people just don't think about things in these terms. All right. Let's go with all of the shapes up to this, but not including this. All of these right here, I would say these are helpful, but not as helpful, right? Because if it's any sort of animal or anything like that, this isn't gonna do much for you. I literally don't think I've ever used the star for anything. Yeah, so these ones are just like the middle of the road probably. And then for these, some of these I don't know that I've ever used. I've certainly have used this one. I remember that. I can't remember if I've ever used these two. This I don't think I've ever used. This I've used. So I would say these two are helpful. The rest of them are just okay, probably. All right. This is where you get to your helpful amount of cheating. Sometimes with this one here, I'll put like 5 blocks to let you know that there's like 5 things in it or something like that. So it doesn't matter. This game's just meant to have fun or whatever, so it doesn't really matter. The 0 I think is actually insanely helpful, but I never use it. So a good example of this would be that like there's a book. So the main idea would be a book, and then you would describe the book a little bit more, but then you would put women and 0, and maybe that would be like Lord of the Flies. There's no women in this story. So you can just say that there's nothing of something. So I actually haven't used this a ton because this is something I thought about more recently. But man, I think it's so interesting. Like, it's a food, but you can't smell it or you can't taste it. Or like it's a job, but you're going to make no money in this job. So I think that is really, really, really interesting because some of these, they have the actual term and then like the antonym of it. So like happy and sad, you wouldn't ever need it for that. But like if you were talking about like the opposite of death, that is insanely helpful. So this one is really, really, really good. This one is also very good, I think, but only the way that I cheat. This one would be good as well. If I'm ever being really crazy, I'll just put the blocks in the specific spots of the alphabets, like A, B, C, D, E, F. It's ridiculous, but that one I find funny. This one's just all right. This one, I've probably used this once and it just confused me. Also, the other thing about this is it's not just how often you would put a block on it. It's how often is that block actually helping the person to figure out what you're talking about. If this was like Minecraft or one of those games where the blocks drop or whatever, sure, this would be helpful. But that almost never comes up. And also, I'm not really going over the terms for each of these because I don't think I just never look at any of the terms. Board games are supposed to be fun, so if you're spending all your time reading a bunch of stuff, you're probably not having fun. All right, so this is not very helpful. This is not very helpful. I'm literally gonna put these in the horrible category. This, I'm sure this means something like a mirror or something like that. I don't know what this one is. This one's gonna be horrible. This one's gonna be pretty horrible. Super helpful, super helpful, super helpful. I actually haven't used this one as much, so I'm gonna say this one's just mid. Super helpful, super helpful, super helpful, super helpful, super helpful, decently helpful. I just haven't used these ones as much. All right, now we're down here. All of the body stuff I think is helpful, but it can also lead you astray. You got to make sure you use these correctly. So all these are going to be helpful. All right. The science one and the medicine one, I would say these are decent. Actually, you know what? Those will certainly point you in a good direction. It's just that this almost never gets you where you're going. It just helps you be pointed in the right direction. Whereas if you know that something's an animal and it's green, or it's an animal and it's red, you could probably figure that out pretty quickly. Cool. So that's those two. The religion and political figure one, I find both of those very, very helpful. That points someone in a very specific direction. If you know that it's a man in politics who is ancient, and was he known for war, and maybe like what were the colors of the flag or something like that, you can lead people in a very clear direction. So both of those are very good. These are also a little bit of abstract concepts. So if you didn't have these and you were trying to get somebody to get like, I don't know, Benjamin Franklin or Teddy Roosevelt, this would be a lot more difficult. All right. So then we have this. We have money, massively helpful. Time, decently helpful. I just happen to not use it very much. This one I think is very helpful, the technology, but it's in the same category as these two, where it just doesn't ever like get you there in and of itself. These gears I think is just all right. This is just all right. I don't. The best thing to use this as is if you get like The Princess Bride and you say the first thing is that it's a movie that I love or that I like or don't like. That can help people based on how well they know you and how strongly you feel about the movie. Because the cool thing is you can pick the clue. So even if one of these is harder, if I really if I refer to my wife as queen, I can use this one. It won't be nearly as hard as these ones because she'll be thinking of that. I'm just making stuff up here, but okay. So both of these very good. Both of these, I almost never use the shield, but the military is very helpful. Fast and slow, super helpful. Actually, you know what? We'll put this in decently helpful. I don't end up using them as much, but they're in theory very helpful. Old and young, very helpful. These two are also super, super good. This one would be like a fictional character. This one would be a historical character. You could even make historical fiction. All right, let's do these ones. We have houses and food, immensely helpful. Games and clothes, immensely helpful. Some sort of work and some sort of transportation or vehicles, probably specifically vehicles. These ones are immensely helpful as well. I guess they're probably not as helpful as these ones, but they're still super helpful. Transportation by water, transportation by air. These ones are super helpful as well. Calendar and holidays. I don't end up using the calendar as much. The holiday one is really helpful. Yeah, it's very helpful. Because like if it's a Christmas movie, you could just put your dot on the Christmas tree or whatever. Just whatever is fun. And then these two, city or a specific location. See, this is the flag. If you knew that the person was like a German leader, you'd pick the colors of the German flag. If you knew they're American leaders, you'd go with the cover of the American flag, which is also an idea I haven't had before. So I gotta remember both of these two in the future. So this one is helpful, but it's like vaguely helpful. So I'd just say this one is good, but like the things in the city are almost limitless. So it doesn't really narrow it down much. It just gives you something to think about. And then this one is just decently helpful. I haven't really used this one to fruition so far. Seen it to fruition. All right, these two, the phrase is like the most helpful clue of all of the clues. There are certain ones that just feel impossible. Like, know your limits. If you tell somebody that this is a phrase that is 3 words long, and then you try to describe what it would talk about, so maybe you talk about like a speed limit, maybe, or honestly, that would be a little bit difficult. You might have to talk about like thinking somehow, which I'm sure there's, this one literally right here. But there are certain ones that you just literally couldn't get if you didn't have this. So this one's crazy good. This one is very good as well. It lets you think about like philosophers, ideas in general. It could also just literally be about electricity. These two are massively helpful. I tend to look at this as like video games or TV shows, whereas this one right up here is more of like videos and or anything that has to do with a literal camera or like movies in general. This one is insanely helpful. Just a book. Art in general, very helpful. Music in general, very helpful. Writing in general, very helpful. Both of these two, animals and nature, insanely helpful. Some sort of profession, some sort of sport or hobby, I guess, because like this dude's just listening to music, so yeah, these are just hobbies. So profession, hobby, men and women, a group of people or a family, and then, so I guess I'm not actually describing, but super helpful. Super helpful. Although I guess I don't use this one as much, but it doesn't mean it's bad. Insanely helpful. Okay. This one, like, it's just hard to think of when this would be as helpful. And this one right here, I normally feel like this one is actually most confusing. There are a few things you could do with this, but it just never really helps. Like, the most helpful thing would be like, could you fit it in this box right here? Which that would be helpful, but it's normally people think of like a package. Oh, it's Amazon, and everybody gets so confused. most of the time with this clue. So I tend to try to stay away from this. And this one I don't find that helpful either. So I guess that is what we got. Oh, and I forgot about this one right here. This one is one that I've actually never been able to use because it's actually just the company symbol. But there will be a day when I'm either talking about a card game or a sombrero or eyelashes / mustache that this will be very helpful. So we'll get there eventually. But thank you for watching, everybody. It's a fun one to make.